Hello everyone and welcome to the first ever video tutorial to accompany the Thursday Parler Anglais episodes. And as I was saying in the episode, if you've heard it already, every Thursday on Parler Anglais I tell a story or I do a debate topic like this episode today or something similar to that, and it comes with a transcription which you can find here on Patreon. But also I'm going to add something new, which is a video tutorial where I discuss an interesting point about English, maybe a grammar point. And today we're going to look at how to use the word sit. It's a very simple word. I am sitting right now, but English learners actually find it quite difficult to use this word correctly or to use it in the way that native English people use it. So we're going to start by looking at how I used it in the episode. Maybe you heard it a few times. At the beginning of the episode, I said, I was recently at a restaurant and at a table close by sat a family of 4. Quite interesting the way I used that. We can do that sometimes where we put the verb there, like lived. We can say lived a family of 4. In this case, sat a family of 4. So the first point is the past tense of sit, which is sat, and the past participle is also sat. But interesting how I use that in the middle of the sentence. At a table close by, sat a family of 4. There are other ways I could say that. I could say, and at a table close by, there was a family of 4, or there was a family of 4 sitting at the table, something like that. But in this case, I just said, at a table close by, sat a family of 4. So that's the first way in which I used it. Then I said, a couple of days later, I was sitting with members of my family on the sofa. So yeah, of course, it's very common to use it in this context as well. Past continuous. I was sitting with members of my family on the sofa. And the other use of sit, I said, we used to sit around the table and actually talk to our relatives. So this is where we start using phrasal verbs with the verb sit. And there are a few, and I'm going to talk about them now. This one first, to sit around. So if there's a lot of people, maybe a group of people who are all sat at various places around the table, we use this preposition around, to sit around the table. That is very, very common. If it's like me, what I'm doing right now, it's only me. So what preposition should I use? I am sitting the table. What's the missing word? I'm sitting the table. Do you know? Well, the preposition is at. I'm sitting at the table. And it's a preposition we use when it's kind of quite non-specific where exactly I am. If it's in, then usually it's like inside something, like inside a box. And if it's on, then it's positioned usually horizontally, could be vertically as well, usually horizontally. For example, the cat is sitting on the table, but I am not sitting in or on, so I'm sitting at the table. So we can sit around the table, I am sitting at the table. And I wanted to look at a couple of other phrasal verbs as well. To sit up and to sit down. Well, let's start with sit down. I am currently sitting down. And it's really common with phrasal verbs, which is, I think, really frustrating for English learners, that we use a phrasal verb and we don't actually need to use it. That's really, really common. I think I use phrasal verbs a lot in the podcasts. I say things like listen out, which basically means pay attention. But I could say listen carefully, but I use listen out and write down. I use that a lot as well. So it's really, really common to use phrasal verbs instead of just the verb alone. And this is a good example. Sit down. The idea is that I'm standing up, to stand up, and so then I sit down. This is emphasizing that point that I was up and now I am down, sit down. So it's more about the action of going from up to down. So that's to sit down. And then the other one I gave you just there was to sit up. So what does that mean? How do we use that phrasal verb? Well, I'm going to show you what somebody might be doing for another person to say, sit up. So this is what I might be doing. So if I'm like this, I'm just like, oh, you know, like a teenager would do. Then they would say, sit up, or sit straight. We hear that a lot. Sit straight, which is like that. Sit straight. So there you go. Quite a few uses of the word sit. So remember, the past of sit is sat. Sit, sat, sat is the past participle. And then we've got how we use it: to sit around the table, to sit at the table, to sit down, and to sit up. So lots of uses of the word sit. Okay, hopefully I've given you something to think about with this tutorial. And I'll be doing these, as I said, every Thursday. Now this one was completely free of charge. Everybody can watch it. If you would like to watch future tutorials, as I said, they're going to be every Thursday to accompany the Thursday episode of Parler Anglais. But you will have to join the fan club. So all the information you can find on Patreon about how to join. Okay, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll see you for next week's video tutorial.